Now we're doing this monthly newsletter together. I've just been super fortunate to be able to work with Missionary because the incredible amount of artists, creators, content creators, writers, poets, who we've been able to kind of share their work within MOXIE has been incredible. And I hope, that as we continue to grow, we'll be able to get to a place where we're able to also have a small enough book in the coming, put together something nice. Thank you for sharing. Working on the MOXIE journey has been incredible. We learned so much about each other, about the work that we're doing, and I guess we're also super fortunate to be able to kind of return some of the work that we're doing into the communities that we want to kind of affect change with. So for us to be able to even be able to do this for the specific reason to fundraise money for an important campaign that the Fruit Basket is doing, it's honestly an honor. Yeah. So I think if you're going to be giving us nice likes and little hearts there, make sure that you give nice shout outs to Missionary because this is her brainchild. She's put in so much work into this, so much love into this.
It would have been perfect. I'm sorry, I take it. I appreciate it, but also it wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for Steph. So if there is being back all the time, I think we just miss you. It's all love. It's all love. What else is there to say about you've got an incredible lineup of artists today, who I'm so grateful are willing to share some works. So we're going to have Chosen Flower. They're running a bit late, but when they get here, they'll be sharing some poetry. We've got Mpumi Maisa, she's a poet and she's the founder of Among the Lilies, which is also another incredible platform, amazing platform. So we're so excited she's going to share with us. We've got John Callier and Whitney with a full stop and no H. I got you, girl. They'll be performing their single 13 together. And that's something exciting too.
Yeah, and I'm going to be speaking to one of my favorite people in the world, who is Tiffany Mugo, who is an incredible woman, a Black queer woman who has been running the platform Hola Africa for years. I'll give you a little bit of a bio once I then start to speak to her. But she's also the author of an incredible sex book called The Quirky Quick Guide to Having Sex, which
that's what you'll need.
Yes.
That's what we need. Got a couple here. You gotta have it. I'm excited. Yay! All of that. But first up, we're going to have Thomas, the founder of the Fruit Basket, come speak to you guys, just so you know about a bit more about the Fruit Basket, the campaign they're running, and really, like I said, the incredibly important and necessary work that they are doing. Because, I think if we can all come together and support this incredible cause, that's what we're going to do. So, let's get the show started. MOXIE Live started. And come on.
Hi everyone. Okay, so today I'm going to be reading my speech. I don't normally do that, but this is just too important to me, and I feel like if I have to speak from my head, I'll end up leaving some important stuff. So here it goes. Okay, my name is Thomas. I am a transgender man. I'm from Zimbabwe, and I'm almost 35 years old. And my pronouns are he, them, his. I moved to South Africa in 2010, and I started my organization, the Fruit Basket, in 2016. So, I had the idea for the longest time, but I only implemented it in 2016. So, there's not really much to say about me, but maybe what I feel like sharing in the moment is that I will be celebrating 1 year on hormone replacement therapy on the 9th of November. And I must say, I'm happy. I have never been happier. I've always felt like I needed to be someplace else, or I needed to travel to find happiness. Until I figured out who exactly I was and Now I'm here and I'm happy. And yeah, it has always been within me this whole time. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I love the man that I am now. I look into the mirror and I don't get so angry. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm hoping that I'll get to a place very soon where I will fully love the man in the mirror. So a little bit about the fruit basket. Um, I think around 2013, there were services that I was looking for that applied to me as a migrant, and I couldn't really find somebody to help me. I looked everywhere, or maybe I'm thinking that I looked everywhere because now that we are here, now that the fruit basket is what it is, I now know that there are organizations and there are people that have always been doing this work. So I guess I looked in the wrong places. But then again, like thinking about it, like if I looked and I didn't find it at that point, it told me then that there's somebody maybe who was less privileged than me that was actually looking at could not also find the help that they needed. So that's how I ended up starting the fruit basket so that I could just be like create that space where people could run to when they needed help and find it. Also, after witnessing the negative effects of xenophobia and homophobia on this community, I felt it was necessary for there to be a safe space and also fellowship. The biggest challenge that this community faces is documentation. And we try by all means as an organization to offer support and help them with any and all challenges they may face with this process. Most of the members of this community are undocumented, and we are working so hard on trying to make sure that come 2021, everyone manages to legalize their stay so they can become contributing citizens to this beautiful nation. The goal of the fruit basket is to become like a one-stop shop for this community. We act as a referral where we can, because over the few years that we have existed, we have managed to build relationships, form alliances and connections with different organizations. Before the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown, the services of the fruit basket did not include financial support. We knew this was a service we needed to provide, but we didn't have the capacity to do so. We had tried from time to time to assist financially, but only to a few individuals. But when the pandemic hit, it was only logical to do it was the only logical thing to do because most of the members of this community work in the informal sector. The lockdown restrictions meant they were not able to go in the streets and hustle freedom. They lost income and could not pay rent or buy food and other basics like toiletries and medication. This is how the GoFundMe campaign started. My friends and colleagues reached out to me and shared the idea and asked me to make a video for the campaign. They didn't have to ask me twice. I was also in the process of sending out grant applications for COVID relief support to different donors, and some of the applications were successful. We needed as much money as we could get to help. With the GoFundMe campaign alone, we managed to raise more than 140,000 rands, made more than 250 crisis payments to migrants, asylum seekers, and refugees from 17 different African countries living here in South Africa. But I'm not going to take all the credit because I didn't do it alone. I worked with an amazing team, my friends and colleagues, Dr. B. Kaminga, Kevo Harry, and John Manel, my best friend Timisane Dube, my friend Maud Goga, who is based in the UK, and last but not least, my beautiful wife, Nyasha. I'm mentioning their names, not their organizations, because I just want everybody to know, and especially the people that benefited directly from this campaign, to know that there are other people out there who really care and who will put other people's needs before their own. I also want to use this opportunity to thank them because they did for a community they don't even belong to. What they did for this community that they don't even belong to is amazing. Words alone cannot describe how I feel. I love you guys so much. and may the universe continue pouring its awesomeness and kindness into you. I think I'm going to stop this now. Okay. Also, in the process, we made new friends, like you, Micheline, and formed new collaborations with MOXIE, the Commune, and the Fort. Thank you so much for reaching out when you did. I'm glad that the work that we are doing inspired you to want to help us, to keep doing it, and I know that this will go way beyond us. Lastly, the Fruit Basket's Gender Affirming Surgeries fundraiser, which is the reason why this whole thing is happening. Being transgender in a world that's not so accepting is one of the most difficult things. Sometimes I think that if it was a choice, most would just drop it and be cisgender heterosexual and lead a hassle-free life. But unfortunately, it's not a choice. It has never been and it will never be. I always say that this community is a multiple minority. Don't get me wrong, I'm not claiming victimhood. But belonging to multiple minority groups is not easy. And so many people have succumbed to the pressure. And our aim is to just empower people, give them a little hope and strength to keep pushing. Adding gender and body dysphoria to the challenges that we already face makes life a little less worth living, to be honest. The aim of this fundraiser is to just try and ease the burden on some individuals. Being able to give people hope and something to look forward to is what we should all strive to do. I know we are facing a global pandemic and everybody is struggling in one way or another. But what this whole situation has taught us as human beings is that we need to lend a hand to another. Help where we can. Not that we didn't know this before, but I guess we got a chance to really practice it. We need to help each other. We need to pay it forward when someone else helps us. There's always a way that you can help. It doesn't have to be financial assistance. I also just want to use this opportunity to urge you to help others whenever you can. I know most people don't believe in the Bible, but there is more joy in giving than in receiving. I also don't believe that much in it. But speaking from my experience, the more you help, the more a lot of things start making sense. And it also helps align things in your own life. So please, wherever you are, wherever you're watching from, when you're able to, and where you're able to, please try and help other people. So with the funds raised from this fundraiser, and the many others that we are here to host, we would like to assist the most vulnerable members of the trans and gender diverse migrants, asylum seekers, and refugees community get gender affirming surgeries, so as to help improve their quality of life. So they may be able to start developing self-love and start functioning well in society. From my experience as the director of the Fruit Basket, trans and gender diverse people of this community want to start HRT the most, as hormone replacement therapy. And most of them always wonder if they will ever get a chance to get gender affirming surgeries, or if it's just a privilege that they don't deserve and will never earn. It hurts me so much to see people live life and feel so hopeless. It might take me a lifetime to achieve this for myself and for others, but I will die trying. So on behalf of the Fruit Basket and its members, I want to thank you all for taking the time off of your busy schedules to do this for us, for dedicating this whole day, this whole event, and this whole space to doing this for us, people that you have never met. It just goes to show that there's still some good people in this world, in this country. Thank you guys so much. I love you all. And I can assure you right now that we will definitely pay forward. Please help us by donating and also spreading the word about this fundraiser. You will find more details on our website, on our Facebook page, and our Instagram account, and also on the MOXIE website. Thank you guys so much.
Hi guys. Hi. MOXIE Life event. Thomas, thank you for that. Wow. I don't know how we can go on after that. It's difficult to be vulnerable like that when you're asking for help, right? So, yeah. Thank you, the community of the village, like you said, for giving us a place that was safe. Just welcome. Like, I was walking in here, I was like, oh, once again. So hi everyone, my name is Kalia. Sorry guys, there's a few cameras around. Alright. My name is Vicky, with full stop on my page. And yeah, we're here to perform a song that we haven't released yet. In fact, we haven't finished making it yet. But yeah, it's like it's one of my favorite songs. It's nice to perform together. Yeah. It's called 17. And we'll give you a little story after because it explain like how this became a duo and this individually why we're also communities. So this is 17. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy. It was better when we were friends, always having a pretend things we get along, you and me just take me for granted. So 17 minutes ago, I said, pardon me, can't you see I'm in a dream that I see the energies and keep your eyes on me, it's what we do. So 17 minutes ago, I was staying with you. Holy, they told me, going out with their body, signatures they went to, you hiding your shit to the stone. Still on the same just feeling no more. I just feeling no more. 17 minutes ago. 17 minutes ago. 17 minutes ago. 17 minutes ago. Yeah, I know I can talk that shit. I know how to mess with it. They don't want to love me. Because they don't really miss me. They don't say shit. They don't really they don't really just they don't really mess with me. Just 17 minutes ago. Just 17 minutes ago. Just 17 minutes ago. Just 17 minutes ago. I missed the last of the songs. That's what I know. Just 17 minutes ago. I said, what is he? Conscious young little tree. Better to cheese. Better sweet cheese. You lead the way. 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 The song, by the way, was produced by a guy named Thank you, Bob. Yes. So shout out to him, he's a really young, amazing producer. So shout out to him for allowing us to bless this beat. So yes, Don Callier, I am your cheeky all-star. I'm an all-around rebel. What does that mean? It just means that I go against society's norms. I don't let anyone tell me, who I am and what to be. Done music now for 5 years. Studied fashion, but my love is for music, and all around what I want during my career and journey, it's not this fame and fortune, the success I want, it's just like being in environments as such, meeting artists like with me, influence like Thomas, everyone, is building MOXIE. And just, I don't know, touching people further than the surface, going in depth and helping them just find themselves and be happy with themselves. So hopefully my music, I do speak on this in my music, which you can catch on I'm gonna do it again, Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, Apple Music, and all the places at Don Callier, and also on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I'm there too, and that is me. Cool. So like I said, I'm with you, full stop and no H. People always find me wrong, which is okay, but sometimes I just feel like there's a thing that comes with identity, and I just feel when someone spells my name wrong, it's because they don't really pay attention to me, and that's fine. Like, you don't have to pay attention to everything that's out there in life, So I really appreciate you who take the time to call me whatever you call. I've been doing music for pretty much 2 years now, and my sound I describe as soul-based, but I am a sonic shapeshifter. I can fit into any genre. I do use music and lyrics and poetry to express myself. And since finding music again, because I grew up really being in love with singing music, but I was never given the opportunity to do that. I started studying finance because that's what everybody does, what I'm saying. And then but I did find myself in a position where I was confronted with the reality of the rest of my life, and to think that I was going to be doing, I don't even know what. Like, for me, I just couldn't see a future doing finance or doing anything that didn't have to do with doing music, because that's where I feel my freest, and I've been discovering myself more and more through music, and I really cherish being able to express myself through writing specifically. Because I talk a lot in person, in conversation, I struggle to get to a point. But in music, I can say so many more things in 3 minutes than I can say in an hour conversation. So if you do go and check out my music, it's with me with a full stop and no H. My music brings me healing, so I hope that it does something like that for you. Other than the fact that it sounds good. The lyrics are really important. That's really all I want people to hear when they listen to my stuff. So thank you for having us here and letting us share with people. A big shout out to MOXIE Live, the Forge, and the community. 17 before we forget. What was the premises when you first started this? Because I do like giving briefs to people about what the song is about and how it came about. I did promise everyone. So 17, you'd like to start? No, you brought me up to the song. Well, it was kind of put together. We had
we were in studio, and this was the first time playing it out loud to everyone, and then press play, it started like, if I do that correctly. And I was just like, and then Whitney just came my room and was like, hello, hi. And then we just started working and being in the same environment. But when and I was like, yes, because I received the thing, but I didn't know how to receive it. And I was like, I feel like I needed another artist just to help me find, what Sense would be about, and then make it into it. And we just started freestyling, we felt it, and then we thought, wow, we're gonna release this for radio. 2019, 2020. Oh, actually end of 2019. Yeah, it's been almost the year, but it's actually worth it. Yeah.
I think by the time this song comes out, there's going to be so much more that we can offer in terms of like giving a whole round experience, being able to do visuals for it, being able to talk about the inspiration.
Actually being honest with how the process actually goes, because you see a big artist or just artists in general, and they make it seem like the process is so easy. Yeah. But it's really not. It's so many like there's no handbook. No, we got ghosted, we got blocked, we got unblocked, we became friends again. There was many contracts.
Yes, and things like that. They don't know nobody tells you how to go about this. Like the business side of the music industry, and that's the in order for us to actually be a part of the industry, we have to put ourselves out there and understand what our rights are. And it just isn't really a kind of like a hub for those kind of things. Even though there are many little independent hubs that we are trying to get information out. But even for myself, I would say in the future, because I've only been doing this for a little bit, but the amount of stuff that I've been doing, there's people who have been doing music longer than me who don't know the things that I've learned and discovered on my own. Because it takes actually going to research what are rights, what are music rights, how do contracts work, licensing.
There's a lot. So that's the process we just say we're doing 17, but everything's come together. It and it will come out soon with aiming for December with visuals. So thanks again to everyone for being on the platform. I'm Don Callier, GPL star, and I'm working with the full stop and the age. Thank those questions anymore.
Yeah, are you good? 17 minutes ago. And then 17 minutes later, they decide to talk about sex.
So be careful.
It's been an exciting time for us, to be honest. I'm just like, oh shit. Read it. Right, if it's green, it's on. Is it green? It is not. Hi, sir. How are you? I'm going to do the awkward thing that you hate by reading the Bible. It's happening.
It's happening. Somebody shamed me for writing the Bible. I was like, who else was writing the Who else?
No, listen. So this is Tiffany Boo, or one of my favorite people, just in general, who is now a pole dancer and runs an incredible platform called Polar Africa. But let me read what she actually has written about herself. Tiffany Kugaro is a co-founder, and curator of Polar, a pan-African.
I wish I was a co-founder.
We all wish we were co-founders, like Fund Me, a pan-African hub that advocates for and tackles issues surrounding African female sexuality. She is a TED speaker, host of the radio show Between the Sheets on Trans Africa Radio. She has written for numerous anthologies and contributes to the spaces speaking about sex and politics. And she's based in Joburg, but originally a Kenyan. Yes. The Kenyans love SA and we love them.
I'm talking about business.
I have to talk your business. So the reason Tiff and I are always spicy towards each other is actually because she gave me one of the opportunities to actually start speaking about sex publicly. So she's one of the most incredible women that I've met because she creates a space. So essentially what Holla Africa is a space for especially African queer people to just come together and talk about nasty shit, which is what we love, which is what we like. And we're going to be speaking about her book. Quick guide to having great sex. Yes. Why did you pick a tongue twister, Tiffany?
Because I'm a troll. I'm the biggest troll. I stay a troll. No one can say that I don't love you. No one. No one.
I mean, literally, it's just giving us a young workout of our tongues that we might use later. So, you know, you were just like, let me give you something to get warmed up.
You gotta stretch.
Read the book.
You gotta stretch and for yourself.
We love to see it. We love to see it. So I actually prepped some questions. Yeah. We're ready to talk about serious shit. So, question number one. So, I wanted to know, man, what stands kind of between us getting to a point where we can use books like yours to actually teach kids about school? Because I see on the front of your book it says for adults, and because this book is filled with adult topics, right? But how do we get to a point actually where we can actually start to discuss these sorts of topics as comprehensive sexual education?
I think first things first is we need to stop being scared of sex because people are terrified. Like even like adults have been asking like, what's been the reception to this? Like, are you being trolled? And I'm like, no one's trolling me. Everyone's been really sweet. They put the book up online and they tag me. Like I had the closest I've had to someone trolling me is someone asking me like, who told you to write this book? And I was like, I don't know. Now in hindsight, I don't know whether that was a hack, right? I think it might have been a hack being like, what do you know, sis? And then I was just like, why are you coming for me? Why are you coming for me? Like, right now, like, I missed an opportunity. This is what happens, guys. But like, I think we're just very, very scared about the idea of sex. And then, so we think that if we even give a slight inkling of knowledge to like young folks, they're just gonna go out and have a lot of sex, right? Which a lot of them are already doing. Like, I don't know if you've heard the rumors or some of the things that go down in high schools. I am shook.
I watched Euphoria and I was shocked.
I am trying to watch Euphoria. I'm ready, right? I'm ready. I'm just like narrating myself because like I do Euphoria buddy. It's fine. I'm gonna watch Euphoria, but like I'm shocked at the things that are happening, right? I think people are just genuinely quite scared of sex, right? And they feel like they can't handle it, so young people can't handle it.
So they just project it.
Yeah, you just gotta project it.
It's like, I can't handle the truth, so I can handle it.
No one can handle it, right?
So, yeah, because I was just like, one of the things that I really love about your book, and the thing that I think I realized that the way that you had even chronicled kind of the chapters shows not to say that this is the most important thing, but the fact that you started a sex book about the importance of pleasure, which is something that you wouldn't consider to be like iconic, you know what I mean? But it's just about a conversation, speaking to Dr. Valing, another incredible black woman who's written a book specifically about sexual education. And you two had a conversation speaking about why are we so scared about mentioning the word pleasure? What is the thing about
because we actually, I don't think we understand what pleasure is, right? Like we don't understand the grand notion, and then we also sometimes don't understand how pleasure. Like, so I recently had a bang, a COVID bang, right? Yeah, that was good. Okay. I'm stressed, right? I'm stressed, it's fine. And like, I was getting asked my whole big age, having written a whole big book, was being asked, what do I like, what is my pleasure? And my mind would go blank at times. And I'm like, what is going on here? And they're like, but you've written a whole book, like what? I'm like, no, but, I'm like, I can conceptualize the idea of pleasure, and I can consider the panel, and it's actually been like a serious journey, like engaging with this person, going through this whole like sexting night, and like figuring out my body and re-sitting in my body, and then being asked what my pleasure is. And I'm like, sis, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know right now because now also because your pleasure shifts. Right? Like, I love that. Like, I think that's also something with what this is, post-book world where everyone expects that climbing chandeliers and this. So it was just a case of like really conceptualizing. But how this person wondered with me like last year this time. What are we able to talk about? Like, oh,
I don't know. Yeah. And I think it's just a really difficult journey we're constantly on. And we don't actively, what's that thing? Damn, English is gone. But you know that thing we just, you do things intentionally. Is that's what it is. So like we don't intentionally engage with the ideas of pleasure, right? And so it's always very lasting. That's why I appreciate people like you who are online just being like, so this is how I'm conceptualizing pleasure. This is how it sits in my body. Don't act me. And I'm like, okay. I'm gonna act shit. I was like, I'm gonna act you, but how? I can't. I can't. So how do you define vision? What is vision? Why would you do that? Did I not just give you a spiel about how it was too easy? It was right there. I don't know. Okay, what is pleasure for you today? So like pleasure for me today would be something that legitimately makes me feel good. And not just like sexually, but that legitimately makes me feel good. Because I've been going through a ton for like a month and a half. Like bitch is like, can I swear? Are we not swear? Swear. Oh, okay, a bitch is tired. I'm like, I'm so tired. I'm so tired of tears. I'm so serious. I'm so tired of tears. I'm so tired of not being able to get out of bed. So like right now, pleasure for me would be like actually being able to feel good in my mind more than anything, which is something I have not struggled with for a long, long time. I'm like, Lord, if I could just feel good in my mind. Like it's even me doing it sexually. Because post like, during COVID and the highs and lows, so now I'm kind of like very low. So like conceptualizing sex and things like that. Just like, what is that? Why is this like this? Yeah. Because I think during a pandemic, it is really important for us to kind of think about these things of, the darkness exists amongst the light, right? So we are very well versed in all the shit that's going on every single place. I'm on Twitter, I know all about the US election. Why are you on Twitter? That's why. Twitter, because Twitter is a drug and I'm I can't quit. So it's one of those things where I think we're so aware of the constant heaviness, the constant pain, the trauma that's going on in the world, and it becomes a very intentional conversation for us to be even having, just even in ourselves. So understanding what is pleasure for me as an individual before I even involve other people, right? Because what I loved about this book as well, it's one of the things that very few authors that speak specifically about sex do, which is understanding that, hey, this is a conversation, right? So the fact that you even had multiple contributors in this book speaking about topics that, because I know you personally, I know that Tiff wasn't trying to write about King. Tiff wasn't trying to write about polyamory by herself. No. But you put in those other experiences, those other conversations. How was kind of that collaboration, just like a constellation of pleasure in this book? How did that go? So you see, sometimes people ask questions, and I really want to have a really great origin story, right? I want to be like, I sat there and like it came to me in a dream, and the names came to me literally in a dream. We're so African, right? It came to me in a dream, and like, a small one came to the list of names and a coconut, and it was that. No, actually, what would happen is I had the initial list of topics that I wanted to cover, and I knew like the questions I'm always being asked. King was always one of them. Like everybody always want to know about King. People just want to be tagged us. So I'm kind of going to post this person. I'm just like, I had that. Okay. So that's you're gonna answer that. It's fine. We'll get into that. But so with this, it was a case of like every time I had a new idea of a chapter, like either I'd see, can I write it, right? And also you must stay awake, don't swim, right? Stay awake, it's fine. And then sometimes some of the conversations came up with people like having the conversation. So like with the idea of having a breakup. So it was actually Tapio who was just like, I've actually been thinking about my breakups, my past breakups. They didn't go so good. You actually need to know how to end the sex, like focusly, right? Yeah. Because that can really affect, like, because I'm going through that right now. Wrote a whole chapter on how to break up, ain't taking none of my advice. And I just need to do this and listen just now. Like 2 days ago. I didn't say I was good. I said I wrote the book, presence people were breaking up. Okay, it's fine. Right? So like with that, like with same that chapter, it came about because it was like really conceptualized and like we think through this because it can really affect how you saw the rest of the interaction, right? But like you can have a great 3 years with somebody went all to the ground, right? I'm trying not to do that right now. Bring myself to myself. They were a great person, they were beautiful, and I hope they have all that things to do with us. You have say it with your chest. Like say it with your eyes too. Your eyes but like so with the chapters it came like some of them were easy to like decide and like the king chapter because I mean we can get something else and to view it is like love over equal sex. Like there were some things that were easy to assign, but other things it was a case of like, oh we're having a conversation about this. If you want to write about this, just write it. We'll put it in a book.
So I'm also really curious about when you were saying what has been the response, right, from people. But I want to ask, what was the response from the people you wrote this book for, which is queer African people? What has the response been for that? Because I think one of the most important things that I always tell people, because girl, I've been tagging on Instagram every second day I'm obsessed with this book. But one of the things that I love about it is because it's one of the 6 books that have been written expanding our own definitions of pleasure, but also expanding what does pleasure mean to us as queer people. Because that's, as much as I do, that when people speak about queer sex, it's never speaking about it holistically, speaking about it. What is the body of queer sex? Who are the people having the sex? What are their experiences like? How's the response been from the people?
So, number one, I did not write this for the queer community.
Really enough. Call me out. Like,
because I think that was one of the things when I started writing this book. A lot of my straight friends were like, oh, so you're writing a book, is this just for like gay people? Quote unquote, this is just for gay.
Is it for the gays?
Yeah, is it for the gays? And I was like, no, actually it's for the straights. I have rearranged the hierarchy for this book. Straight men, straight women, everybody else. Right? Everybody else. And that's why like there's nothing on the cover that says like a queer guy. I was just like,
because there is a queer missing there, quirky, queer, quick,
right? It was originally, right? And then I was just like, no, this is not going to speak all of these things into the scripts, right? And like, so for me, it was a book written for everybody, and that's why like none of the things would be like, when you have your lesbian lover, or as a queer woman, you do this, or preparing for anal sex as a straight woman or a gay man. None of that. You must pick up the chapter, you must find yourself there. That is why like it's gender neutral, it is sexuality neutral, it is racially neutral. You must pick it up, you must find yourself in every chapter. If you're key, then that's your jam, right? So from the queer community, like I think it's been cool. I've had a lot more engagement like to my base from the streets. I need to stop calling them the streets. It's not
calling the streets. It's a reclamation of that level. We are reclaiming it for them because they are not the streets.
So I've had a lot more engagement with the streets. Right? So, but like the queer community, I guess, is one of those things where some people have shown up because like they're like, oh, it's you, so I know. Like a lot of people don't know. This is like their chat. They think it's just like another heterosexual book. Until like they find out from their heterosexual friend that there's like an entire list of like gender terms and sexuality terms, and then suddenly they're like, oh, what do you learning though? When they have their friends texting them being like, I think I'm asexual. It's like, where did you learn that? Who are you learning this from? Like, this book, and they're like, oh, yeah, it's fine.
Then we can do that. Listen, y'all need to tell me about the time because we can keep talking. Keep it going, like the water. Like the water. What I was really curious about, right, is there's a chapter where you speak very specifically about the MD questions to ask on polyamory. And you'll let me know how much you're willing to share. But I know that this is one of the bigger topics in terms of like popularity, right?
No, everyone is non-monogamous right now.
Exactly. So just like how BDSM had its moments, and it's still kind of having its moments. Polyamory. I feel so polyamory. Yeah. I feel like non-monogamy is having a very big moment. Right?
Yeah.
So how did you guys even decide the sorts of questions that you were, and have you followed those questions that you said that people should consider?
So I have. I have been. I'm like, because we go way back. So you know my experience with non-monogamy.
essentially a dumpster fire. You remember?
Yeah.
That was good time. You remember? Oh, goodness. But yeah, so like I have all of that. So now this chapter, right? With a lot of the chapters, not a lot, all of the chapters books had free reign. So Amanda Hudson with that chapter. So she had been thinking a lot about non-monogamy. So I was just like, oh wow. Like I didn't actually see the chapter until like a day before I came into the publisher.
Oh shit.
No, fam, sometimes you gotta trust the squad. They just gotta be like, look, if you fucked me, we will talk about this later, right? But it's fine. Because I knew she'd be able to handle the thing. So I think for her, she like broke it down in the ways that she'd been like conceptualizing it and she'd been exploring it because she's in a non-monogamous relationship. No, she is a relationship. It's been like 3 years now. Put some respect on it. So yeah, so she's in that, and so that's how she was just like thinking through it, and some of the important questions they were for her and stuff like that. So I had nothing to do with it. I want to act like it came from above, but there was a lot of this that was everyone was like, do you go read inside the book? That's doing it.
I mean, it came together beautifully. It's almost like y'all were just like, okay, shop, let's just create a group chat every day. Everybody sends their chat. I love it.
Like
That is now my favorite book because there was no WhatsApp group, no WhatsApp group.
like, why was we only in the WhatsApp group? I am the WhatsApp group.
You see, reclaiming pleasure. Yeah, no WhatsApp. So I'm also really curious about like, did you have any personal challenges or prejudices that you were kind of dealing with as you either wrote this book? Were there any things that, because I know in my own research or whatever, every time you kind of, and I know we're very similar writers in that we research, right? We research.
We also talk about how people think that writing about sex is purely doing. Like they think all you do is you do stuff and then you hit your laptop and you're like, yeah.
Just like, bitch, I have no sex for a year. That's why they visit me.
Right? Like, I'm just like, so they're like, so how much of this was research? And I'm like, no, say what you want to say. How much of this was stuff I did and then I decided to write a mystical about it? But yeah, they always decide.
I was gonna say, how did you have any specific things that you were essentially learning as you wrote the book?
Yes. So okay, so like some of the chapters I outsourced, I was just kidding because I don't know. Like I never had anal sex, so I was just like, you know, I can't lie. I can't lie about life, right?
Because you lie about anal sex, it's not going to end well.
Okay? It's not. It's not. It's like get cancelled on the internet. Like,
yeah, in someone's life. No, you are cancelled from the ass and people are going
and then they say, and then they put my screenshots on the chat. You know how the site goes. So with me, I don't think I had like, well, I think my life is just one big prejudice. I'm like, you know, inside at my core, I'm a conservative, rural kind of girl. So all of this was unlearning. Like the whole book was like just a series of unlearning. And like, because I learned the basics of a lot of things, so I had to take things from that. But the one chapter I was actively called out on was the one about having one night stands. Right? So I wrote it, and I thought it was such a flex. I was like, I've been in a 10-year relationship. I don't know about this life, but I feel I can come from on high, and I can tell you how to have a one night stand. My ass has never had a one night stand. I wrote this chapter. I sent it to my cousin, my little cousin. She's 22 years old. She on Tinder, right? She was like, "What fuck is this?" She was like, "What is this? Judgy.
bitch. You wanted to say.
I did, but she was just like, "You judgy ass. Like, what is this?" I had to write a whole chapter again. She was just like, "You're judging people for having one night stands," and being like, "Okay, fine. If you're going to do it, at least try and be okay." Let's change the whole damn chapter. I did not know that I was coming at it all wrong. And even Super Reddit was like, because I was so incensed. I was just like, because she sent it back, she's like, ew, no. And I was just like, well, damn. No, she was so real. She was just like, ew, this is terrible. And then Super Reddit, she's like, okay, you know. She was like, no, this is not the one. She's like, this is, so I had to rewrite the whole chapter and like, really like, actually just put some respect on one night stands and then come at it from that thing. But apparently I had a thing against one night stands. I think it's just cool. I think it's just beautiful.
It's definitely for me. You were just projecting.
I was projecting
because you were like, it's been 10 years.
No, I've never. In my whole 32 years.
I think you need to challenge yourself.
I tried, I tried like 3 weeks ago, and the person started telling me about their life, and I was like, this is how it gets twisted. And I was like, no, and they're like, yeah, so like, me and my boyfriend, like, we really try to knock it down, so like, and I'd always have to, I was like, woo,
I don't need to know your life. I barely need to know your name.
we tried, and now we're here, one night stands.
But at least I think one of the great things about writing about sexual pleasure and the way that you do it is that it kind of gives that room, to explore things, to figure things out, to be like, okay, then I definitely didn't think. I mean, the fact that literally your anal sex chapter is written by a cis gay man, right? Yeah. Man, right? Some people are cis gay, right? Yeah. So I'm just like, just the fact of that it's written by a cis gay man who's writing it from the perspective of I enjoy anal sex, not penetrating somebody else, but I enjoy sex. Because I think that's literally one of my favorite things. Do you have a favorite chapter in this book?
No, I've forgotten all of them. Like it's like I think it's one of those things where once it was done, and I saw it, all the chapters gone. I have to carry around. Actually, I used to carry around the book, and then a few days, like a week and a half ago, I met somebody at a conference, and they were asking me about the chapter on sex after trauma, and they were like, I really want, and they were like, so we were having a conversation about it, and they were like, I'd really love to learn more. They're like, right now I can't afford the books, so I gave it away. So now I'm just in the wind.
You don't have a backbook.
I don't. Because you gotta carry on.
You gotta carry a
So now I'm just here live. So if you ask me any chapter, I'll be like, I don't know. I don't know.
But yo, listen, before we keep talking, I just want to say one more thing. Thank you.
Oh,
thank you so much for this work. It's like you can tell that there was so much love, so much care, so much wine.
So much wine.
All the white wine.
All of it.
You were on your white girl wasted.
Yes.
I love to see
I lost my laptop to the struggle. like after like 2 glasses of wine, it had been a long day. I've been on campus and I was sitting there, like my favorite restaurant, which now closed down. I have missing time. So I know. That's so pretty. So that tap, and then this lady calls me. I'm like, hey, English, full glass of wine on the laptop. Yeah, and she smelled the wine.
Moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to let people know that Tiff does have another book out right now. Do you want to tell people while I quickly run and get this book?
What do I say?
Tell us what
what is this new book? This new book is a bunch of queer erotica. Now this one I did with the Queens and Queers, right? So this one I can't remember. I did with the Queens and Queers. It was many years in the making, which was excruciating for me because I like to do things now. You know how I am. But yeah, and you're in this one too. Yes, you are. So yeah, it's a book of queer African erotica. This one's fiction.
Yeah. I just wanted to let people know that, listen, go get yourself this damn book, The Tongue Twister of a book. Work out your tongue. Go home later, get that work. But then, yeah, thank you so much. I just wanted to let people know that this chick works, okay? And she works for the pleasure of Black women, the pleasure of Black femmes, the pleasure of Black people who are non-binary, gender non-conforming. And thank you so much for just putting this joy into the world.
I love you.
I love you. Okay, bye. We done.
How's everyone doing? My name is, I go by Chosen Flower. My full name is Maleke Sekatata Zonjibaziko Kumana. Come on, child. I go by the name of Chosen Flower. My full name is Maleke Sekatata Zonjibaziko Kumana. And Chosen Flower is the direct translation of my first name. And I am a poet, I am a photographer, I am an illustrator, I am a multifaceted artist, and I enjoy diving into all new mediums. So before I start off with
sharing a book. I'm one of those people who reads from their phone because, I'm not a book woman. Not as much as I used to be. It's like about 7 years since I was last on stage. So, we do what we can. And so what inspires me to write? Intuitive processing. So it's just whatever I'm feeling at that moment in time, I'm like, okay, maybe just write it down. Maybe there's a message that needs to come out. And often, I went to this one event, I think about 2 weeks ago, and they were like, poets don't, well, they expect to be teachers, but they don't learn their own lessons from their own writing. So I was like, that took me aback because that's so true. We don't actually learn from our own words. So when I read back at my writing, I'm like, oh, child, what are you going through? But damn, this is so relevant today, dog. No, are we? But that's what inspires my writing. And the message that I give to people who are not learning, but who are struggling to write and be productive with this time is don't rush it. Don't force it, it will come out. Sometimes it just takes you to sit down with a pen and paper or your phone, your laptop, whatever you feel like writing, and just type one word, close the document, come back to my paper. Open it again, you still find no inspiration, that's fine, close it, come back again. There's no rush to complete the work. I think that's why I said with art pieces that I haven't finished in 2, 3 years because I'm just like, inspiration to learn, it's fine. I'll see you another time. So without further ado, this one I wrote fairly recently, and it's called I Want to Go Home. I know this was a very quaintly, that's up there, the connection was up there, but I'll try to keep the energy up there. I'll try my best, but no promises. Right. I want to go home, but I have no clue where that is. I've been traveling in and out of spaces, picking up pieces of me lying in the strangest places, at the bottom of ethanol bottles, cigarette butts, and baggies of grains, and I still can't find what it means to be at home. It feels strange having to move from building to building, just to make myself comfortable in being me. When truly the person that needs to feel comfortable in me is me. But I can't help but feel that my presence makes other people uncomfortable. In the way I hold myself, from the way I talk, the swagger in my walk. I just don't feel so comfortable. There's always a deep desire to run away and be alone in my thoughts, and not have to associate myself with anyone or any material possession, but to be myself in my thoughts and in my feelings. The problem is I feel too much. As I try to become comfortable in my feelings, situations come and push me out of my comfort zone. Messages from the universe that say comfort is what kills us. Comfort is where growth does not occur. And so I have discovered in the midst of my abrupt moving about from feeling to feeling, the universe would like me to continue feeling and comfortable in learning to love myself. For it's in the foreign places and the unfamiliar situations that require difficult navigation, I find myself. I love myself for every hard decision that I've had to make until I find my home. That's me. I guess, again, like the poem speaks for itself. I was feeling so uncomfortable, pushing out of my comfort zone, but where, like as a plant doesn't grow just from sitting and chilling. It has to be uncomfortable. It needs to move soil. It needs to find its roots. It needs to break through and find the sun. That's why I call myself sunflower, because people with the sun grows. So very interesting observation. Like if you drive, like you're going to Soweto, you find sunflowers just sprouting on the side of the road. And an interesting fact about sunflowers is that they grow in the most toxic environments. You see, like the CO2 emissions that are released from cars, they fly from that. That's the sun. And I'm like, but how? Moses, you're a sunflower. You're not supposed to be living all such things. But I guess When you're uncomfortable, when you need to grow, you grow. So that's my message to you guys. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable and sit in your feelings so you know what the feeling is. Your feelings. Thank you. Am I okay? Hello, everybody. Woo, oh, hello.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Me on the stage. Okay. My name is Mpumi, and I am a poet. I'm very excited to share my poetry with you. And just anecdotes on how I have used the strangest year of our lives to my benefit. I think a lot of people are like, oh, 2020. And I'm like, yay, 2020. Because this is the year I had time to heal my own life. And I think I'm going to take you through a little story by reading you a poem that gives you an insight of where I was, and then I will finish with a poem that gives you an insight of where I am right now. Okay. So I am working on my first book, and I will not share the name of the book as yet because I'm still weaving the word together. And the thing is, I've been writing for 5 years, and then for the past 2018 and 2019, I did not write. And that is because I was living a life that I fought for, it was not mine. And that's that. I think that is there's a danger of not dreaming new dreams. So I think when we're like young, you're like, oh, this is the life I want to live, and then you don't come back to check in if this is the life you still want to live. And it took that life falling apart for me to actually begin to find out which life belongs to me. So I'm going to start with a poem that I wrote right after we went into lockdown. And it's untitled, and here we go. You wonder about whether you owe them apologies, the friends, the lovers, the ones without faces, let alone names. For how will you use them to stay alive, to validate your own flesh by touching and being touched back? For the insistence on always sharing apartments, for loving them, but never without the tricks and the never-ending leaves of share the bed with me so I can make it to dawn. Share the bed with me to blind me from my vivid awareness of these windowsills. These windows big enough to squeeze a human through. Keep me from the dreams that come while I'm still awake. Keep me from casually walking out of our apartment window. We live on the 6th floor. Do you apologize? Or do you find comfort in the maybe? That maybe lifelines seek out other lifelines. That maybe those who have trouble breathing breathe better around other constricted breathers. Now that your break has returned, and you finally know how to use your tongue, do you tell them about the year you watched as your frequency dipped into death with the setting of the suns? Do you apologize for drinking those wine and beer bottles instead of telling them that the brightest smile at the table was actually the darkest? Do you write confession files about the time you suggested that you all get high and drunk at a high clip, and how, as you laughed and passed the joints around, you wrestled with the back of your mind about the rolling down and the ending? Or do you hug yourself for having the courage to love, to touch, to look into the light in the eyes of the people you love as you waited for this looking into the mirror and finally
seeing a living thing full of air and words. So yeah, this was one of the poems I think that brought me back home. Just to give you context, I had been suffering with depression for maybe 6 years, diagnosed and suffering, hospital, suicide attempts, the works. And it took me really sitting down and unpacking. So I call them the lockers, right? The lockers that like wake up with you and they all have your stuff. And I had never looked into what was inside all of those lockers for a very long time. I was sure that, oh my God, those lockers are so heavy. And then I went into the lockers and I found nothing. Because at that moment, I was safe. And I think that's something that we fail to recognize in our lives, that just because we come from situations and places where we don't know what safety is, sometimes we don't know how to recognize it in our lives. And part of the things that I have had to unlearn in 2020 was taking unsafe things that don't belong to me and saying that they belong to me. So just to give you context, I remember we went into lockdown and there was a lot going on, gender-based violence, George Floyd, and just like a lot of trauma. And I had recently moved into my home where I live alone. I have not lived alone all my life, and that's because I was scared to live alone. And that's because I didn't like myself and I didn't know how to like myself. So then in like my relationship with the father of my child ended at the end of 2019, and I was absolutely broken. I had to go back home and start from scratch. I thought this was going to be my year of travel, but Spirit said I must move within 3 months. I must move in, and I moved into my new home like the Thursday before lockdown began. So that was obviously the God saying, "Come, baby, let's sit, let's talk, let's gather, let's unpack." And it was at that time where I had now landed in this marshmallow of safety, but everything outside seemed to be burning. And then, like social media was just going mad, everyone was going mad. And I was like, why is the world so angry? Why is the world so mad? And I was like, that's because I'm angry. And that's because I'm mad. Because if you guys can just pick up, it's something, I think last week was in SARS. If something picks up, something negative picks up, that very negative, angry, dormant thing that lies within us wakes up, right? And we're so activated and we're standing together and we're angry together and we're doing all these things together. But we do not ask what it is that we have that those people that are, doing whatever it is that they're doing have, because we have that in common. Most of the time we think that we don't have the capacity to harm and to hurt, and then we get outraged when we see others harm and hurt, instead of reflecting that what is this person's action supposed to show me about some of the things that I still haven't sorted out, right? So then during this time, then I had to go and be like, oh, okay, I also struggle with hate. I also struggle with jealousy. I also struggle with anger. I also struggle with unforgiveness. And that was a very big one for me, right? Because when something breaks out, it's generations and generations of unforgiveness, finally puking that unforgiveness out, right? When we have something that's just like really ugly happening in the world, that is the bigger manifestation of the thing just vomiting itself out and saying, see me here on the floor, see me in that person, but most importantly, see me in yourself. So the next poem that I want to read you guys is a poem about what I found in my lovers, right? So this one's going to be a little bit more light-hearted. So when you go to the lockers that you take with you every day, you're like, oh, I'm so depressed. This will never go away. When you actually take some time to like look back and like, oh, what's in this locker, right? You find a series of things So this poem, let me read you the poem first, and then I will unpack what naughty little thing I did that was actually hurting me, that I had to confront, and then let go of. So this one is called Married Men. Now that laughing about it on the stairs outside your old apartment after a long day at work isn't allowed. You have to sit through what it is you hid under the laughter. You said that the men did it, the spending time and sharing beds with women they hid. You said that some women clean their rooms and themselves for these men, the men that insist on spur of the moment vacations, the men that rush into the shower as soon as the white stuff leaves their bodies. You think about how the laughter in the air would have evaporated if you dared to tell them that you were the women that got washed off in the shower. That he didn't tell you that he was married. That yes, he adored you in the presence of unknowing eyes, but shoved you under the carpet like dust when the people who mattered to him rose. So, so this is obviously about me being young, dating a married man, him not telling me that he's married, me using that as an excuse to be in a relationship that's really not okay, right? Because we're human beings, we're spirits, and if you exchange pleasantries with someone, and then right afterwards they jump into the shower and wash that off. At the time I would always be on my phone, right? Always on my phone, always on my phone, or we'd be at a really nice resort, and then I would be in, like always on my phone, to avoid the elephant in the room. So now that I wasn't on my phone, and now that I wouldn't be able because we're locked down, I think we would do some really effed up shit, and then sit after work and laugh about it with your friends, like ha ha ha, I roasted this weekend. And yeah, now that there wasn't space for that, that is how I actually took off my depression. Because all these things that were working with me, I learned to resolve and to forgive myself. And to say, okay, cool, you didn't like yourself, it's okay, it's not about him, it's always been about you. You never thought that you could actually be a safe space where safe things happen. And that's okay. So forgive yourself. Okay, so I'm going to read you two more, and then I'm going to leave you. So this one is about 2020. And just to unpack, like I said, for me, this year was a very spiritual year. It found me exactly where it needed to find me, or it threw me into that corner. I'm not sure which one it is, but when I was where I was, or rather, as I am where I am, because like I said, this is my first year back at writing. I had abandoned the pen, and that was because I had abandoned myself for relationships, for friends, for group, for distractions. And coming back to myself means coming back to the pen. And like I said, to the safety of the present moment, right? Right now, we are safe, we are loved, we are protected, the earth is spinning, but yet we're sitting still, and that just tells you a lot about how we're loved. So this one is called The Year. We started it off raw, sore, and a little relieved. We started it off in another city, and the company of the love of old friends, while forming a truer companionship with your brother. You started it off raw, sore, and a little relieved, living at your mother's house, your belongings tucked under the bed, and some blocking the way in the passage. You suspect that the year wanted you stripped, removed from the cloud of your own life, that it wanted you boxed into those 2-hour-long drives to work, that it gave you the M3 and its unrelenting traffic. So you can think about the things hidden, the things you couldn't squeeze into the 20-minute drives from the life of yours that had just died. You think about how you put all your eggs in one basket and watched as the bands of the basket all thin. It wanted you to think about how much you tightened your grip, how you thought that the tightening would stop the tearing and the slow fall. The wonder is that your shoulder was somehow relieved at the absence of the weight, and the no choice but to let go, to see the yoke that once held your dreams, yellow, scattered, unprotected, raw. And that's how the year wanted you, raw, bare, kind of you again, alone with the space to write it all anew, set past lives on fire, and not be afraid when the smell of the ash returns. Because the year has given you time to watch the sun come into your room and dance as a shadow through the trees. The year wanted you lone, attentive, and free to smile about us. So yeah, like I said, 2020 just wanted me just like this, just wait, just without any weight, with the time to appreciate the fact that the trees are slightly moving right now. It just rained, it's wet on the ground, everything is okay. So the last one that I will talk about is called the factory. And I think I spoke about forgiveness quite a lot today. And the one thing, so through doing the self-healing work of just looking at myself, most of the time we think that other people harm us, but if you're not there, they won't harm you. So we put ourselves there, and people come with their arrows and they hit the target, and we're constantly the target, and you're like, oh my God, they keep hitting me, just move. Just move. You don't have to be the target. You don't have to be the holding guard for pain. You don't. And most of the time we think that we do, but we don't. And once I started shedding all those things that made room for pain to be a dominating, feeling or just atmosphere in my life, I had to do a lot of forgiving. And the one person that I had not forgiven was my father, which meant that I hadn't been to my childhood home in about 12 years. And I was happy about it. I was like, after everything he's done, he's never going to see me. I held my unforgiveness for my father like it was a treasure. I cradled it, I held it up, I shined it so bright. And then it took my relationship with my former partner almost morphing into what my relationship with my mom and dad was. And then instead of being like, oh, he's doing what my dad did to my mom, I had to ask the question, what is it that I am doing that my mom used to do that made this person just go haywire, right? Because the first thing is to say, oh man, hot trash, my grandfather did this, my great grandfather did this. But then you don't ask, what is the trauma that your grandmother carried? What is the trauma that your mother carried? What is the toxicity that you brought into the relationship? What is the toxicity that you bring into the relationships? So once I started asking those questions, then I realized that before you know it, you become someone you said you never become. And then I had to just look at my father from a very compassionate place and to understand how merciful life has been to me, to give me the second chance to write and to live a life of my dreams. And all I have to give is mercy. So without even asking for an apology, I went home and I forgave my father. So after forgiving, doing that work, this is what I wrote. So it's called The Factory. It frees you and sends tiny ripples across your underbelly waters. To go back to where you come from, where it all comes from. Isn't it strange how you have to go to the first line of the story to find the words for the line that seals the ending? The story of you being too little to say no, to the motility, to the absence of softness, and to the questions like, how are you? Maybe the trick was in slightly morphing into the demon you hated to understand that the devil is an illusion. And that people are lonely, sad, afraid, even when they walked the earth for 6 decades and became fathers to children who arrived with bright eyes. You're old enough to see how the net that held your sadness was weaved and where you fetched the reeds for that nest. Freedom is not waiting for an apology anymore. It is returning home to find things just as you left them. It is looking at them in the eye and finally knowing what it means to be in your childhood home with you. So thank you. Thank you for letting me your ears, your eyes, and your hearts. I hope, yeah, just me sharing tiny bits of, what views or logistic healing that I have facilitated for myself in 2020. And then out my book is following at Instagram, D. I am working on getting a publishing, so hit me up. But yeah, this is going to be a body of work. Next year, I'm working on more lighter pieces because I am feeling lighter and lighter by the day. And I do believe that as Black people, as human beings, everyone has pain actually, just as human beings, that we will really, really, really invest in self-healing. I know going to hospitals is important. I know assistance is important, but all the answers are in here. Like the minute you just tap in, you just knock and be like, what's in there? It's just waters and waters of healing. So I hope you guys are finding those waters and being nourished by them. Thank you.
Wow! So, it is on. Oh my gosh, come out here, please. Oh my gosh, thank you everyone. I can't believe that it's done. Like, oh my gosh, you guys are amazing and so beautiful. I don't know what to do. I wanted to cry halfway through. Wow.
Cry, girl. The waters of healing.
It's in me. Thank you so much for sharing. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Chosen Flower, honestly. Thank you, Whitney. Full stop, no H. Thank you, John. You and Tiffany, oh my goodness. You all could have been talking, but I was like, I don't even know the
We just keep
title.
talking.
No, it was beautiful.
Thank you so much for sharing so much love and care with everyone who's watching. Even if there's just two of you. What up?
Hey. I think the room felt every message that was spread today, and it's just like I thank you guys so much for sharing. Like I feel like everyone was so honest. Thank you for trusting the space. Thank you for trusting Steph and I with MOXIE. Thank you, Thomas, for trusting us to actually carry this work out and to put on this project. Thank you so much to the board, to the commune, to the team. Oh my gosh, thank you. I feel like the end of a Beyonce concert, which is like, and to the bed. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's I don't know, I'm just like so touched by how honest and open everyone shared today. And like,
Thank you to you for ideating the space and putting the work in and getting it done and finding such a valuable and vital voice for the work that MOXIE does. I know that a lot of people who may not have known about fruit baskets might find a new home, a new support system. A lot of people who have some extra money out there and are looking for something important to support. Please, please, please support this work. This is work that I think I wasn't even aware was being done as a queer person, and I'm so, so honored to now be introduced to the work of Fruit Basket. And I hope that, you're just able to share the work that they're doing with so many other people, because as almost every single person who was on this stage here of ours has said, we are a community. We only really have each other, and I hope that we can do what we can to make this life a little bit more, livable.
That's true. Thank you. You said all the words, like all the things I wanted to say. I said, thank you, thank you. But yeah, just like Marcella said, I think one of the things we always push about MOXIE is collaboration, right, and connectivity and building community. And the community I felt today it's just incredible. And I think, I'm just so thankful and just gushing. Yeah, just gushing. I'm just like, I don't like all your time and the effort, everyone, like the intention that you put into your work and the fact that you were like, yes, willing to share in this space, like I am just really grateful. And as you said, this was in support of the Fruit Basket and the incredible work they're doing. So we will be sharing our links. So we've got a link on the MOXIE page with all donation details of how you guys can get involved and the help. We'll be sharing all of the Fruit Basket's social media links as well. Also to everyone who shared, all our artists will be sharing their work and their social tags, and follow them because the work they're doing is incredible. And just a shout out to Mpumi and Amanda Lillies. They're hosting a really incredible event next week. I know, I was like, Mpumi, come on. Anyway, I'll say it. It is on the 7th of November at the Virgin Cafe in Maboneng. Poetry, live music, more sharing. It's brilliant, honestly. These spaces are necessary. It's great. We build a community so that, like Mpumi was saying, we got to do that healing, right? We need to heal with each other, with support, and I know, I'm speechless. That's all I can say.
Now we're going to go now.
We are. Enjoy your Sunday, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your daughter.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for watching the streaming. Thank you.
Okay.